Freeze! Don't get frostbite. Dodge this!
Power that ended Raishon! Ha!
Oh, so sorry. Freeze!
Blitz.
Nice and spicy!
You hup. Hup. Surrender and I'll be gentle.
Don't waste my time. Eat this! Your life is mine! Give up!
You're in for a little shock. You've been a naughty boy.
Submit! Don't waste my time. Rain outlines your fate. No, my... Time to act.
Cool it!
Let me weave you a verse.
Don't get frostbite. Dodge this! This moment will be frozen in time.
Rain cutter. Rain outlines your fate.
Don't get frostbite.
Let me weave you a verse. No, my sword!
Free!
Into the butt! Busted! Things are about to get dicey.
Oh, so sorry.
Let's spark things up a little.
Quietly now.
Come a little closer.
Don't get frostbite.
Game's up. Fun's over.
Eat this! Nice and spicy!
Surrender and be gentle.
This moment will be frozen in time.
Here comes the catch. Gotcha.